An 8-year-old girl has been kidnapped on her way to school in Gatesville in Cape Town. The little girl, Abirah Dekhta, was allegedly taken by 2 armed men. South Africa was declared a human trafficking hub by the U.S. Department of State towards the end of 2021. At least one child is reported missing every 5 hours in South Africa, with child kidnapping, abductions, and human trafficking increasing at an alarming rate each day. Now let's discuss this. We are now joined via Zoom by criminologist and national coordinator at Missing Children South Africa, Bianca van Aswegen. Bianca, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. Of course, this is a very difficult conversation to have, but when you listen to some of these staggering statistics measured against, especially our children, one wonders, are we winning this fight against, human traffickers?
Good afternoon. Thank you so much for having me. Unfortunately, we are losing the battle at this point, with everything increasing regarding these crimes against our children that is happening, the kidnappings, the increase of human trafficking, children going missing and not being found. It's definitely a massive increase that we see, especially with our organization, the increase of cases being reported to us, and with the children that are being kidnapped for various reasons. It's definitely a massive problem, and we need to face this head on. Everybody needs to stand together to fight this. The collaboration between the private sector, the government, all the departments needs to come together and fight this disaster that we are facing daily.
I hear you talking about, of course, a coordinated, collaborative effort. I mean, the president was hosting the second summit of GBV and Femicide not too long ago. And even there he admitted, that this war against women and children is a pandemic. But do you think then the level of action that we are seeing from government is sufficient, akin to what we saw when they were dealing with COVID-19, which is a pandemic? Should they not be doing more?
You've just taken the words out of my mouth. It's literally a pandemic that we're facing, with our children going missing, being murdered, being kidnapped, taken for human trafficking purposes. This has not just been a pandemic for the last few years. This has been there and has been there for many years. And yes, we're facing this, and government is implementing a new kidnapping task team that they're putting together that is targeting these kidnappings. But there is still more to be done, and more that can be done to combat this problem, because it's going to increase. We're heading towards festive season, towards the end of the year, when our shopping malls and our beaches are going to be overcrowded once again, and our children are then at their most vulnerable.
Bianca, you obviously work with, Missing Children South Africa. Talk to us about then, how do you provide support to parents that do come to you for help? And what happens particularly in those few minutes that their child, God forbid, is, reported missing or has been taken?
We as an organization started in 2007 when 2 little girls went missing, one in Pretoria and one in the Western Cape. And that is when the need was seen for an organization such as ours to assist these families, because a lot of people don't know what to do when a child goes missing. So we are, our first thing that we are is basically an emergency service. If someone doesn't know what to do when a child goes missing, we take them through the process and assist them, because we do need a case to be opened with the police immediately to assist. And that is the most important thing, is to open a case immediately with your nearest police station. Then we as an organization put out a flyer with all the necessary details. We have a vast media network that we spread it around. We follow up on leads. We work very closely with the South African Police Services. Any lead that comes in, we give through to the investigating officer and make sure that everything is done to find that child as safely and as soon as possible. And there's absolutely no waiting period in reporting a person or a child as missing. People are still under the impression they have to wait. That does not exist. The quicker the case gets reported, the quicker action can be taken. And the first 24 hours to 48 hours when a child goes missing is absolutely crucial. Within that period of time, if people wait and do not open a case and action has not been been taken, the child could be anywhere in the world by then, should they have fallen victim to any type of kidnapping or human trafficking.
Let's talk then about, just the recovery rate. I mean, I said in my introduction of this interview that 1 in 5 children, one child reported missing every 5 hours in South Africa. So let's talk then about the recovery rate. I mean, how many of these children are actually found, whether unfortunately they are dead?
Unfortunately, those stats of one child goes missing every 5 hours was put out by the Missing Persons Bureau of South Africa in 2013. Unfortunately, no new stats has been released regarding children that have gone missing, the amount that has been found, or been found deceased, or never have been found. So it's very difficult to put a number to those stats, but stats only gives us a general indication of what we are actually dealing with. Many people are unable to open cases. They are in rural areas. We have seen, especially during COVID, with police stations being closed, that people couldn't open missing persons cases, and only coming forth now after all this time to report their loved one as missing. So there's a lot of contributing factors to the proper stats. So it's much more, bigger problem that we actually really realize what is going on.
Now, of course, we know that, the U.S. Department of State towards the end of 2021 saying that South Africa, declaring that South Africa is a human trafficking hub. That in itself is concerning. But looking at South Africa specifically, can we attribute most of these abductions as, linked directly to human trafficking, or is something else at play?
Yes, we have been declared as a human trafficking hub by the US Department of State, and that is of a great concern. Now, we have to keep in mind kidnappings and human trafficking do go hand in hand, but we've also got different types of kidnappings that happen. So we've got opportunistic kidnappings, we've got kidnappings for ransom, we've got family and parental abductions that happen, we've got traditional medicine kidnappings that happen. Whereas human trafficking is a different scenario. It is literally where a person or a child is actually used as a commodity that is sold off to be used for a certain purpose. So this will be, for instance, your sexual exploitation, your forced labor, illegal adoptions, organ trafficking that falls under human trafficking. And unfortunately, a very small percentage of human trafficking victims worldwide is ever found. So it is really of utmost importance that the public educates themselves on human trafficking, what it is, and also what to look out for to not fall victim to this. Something that we have seen that has increased dramatically, especially due to COVID, people working from home, poverty that has stricken our country, people that have lost their jobs. There's a lot of false job advertisements that are going around on social media, false job ads, people opening false profiles on social media, luring our children, grooming our children for human trafficking purposes. People need to be very vigilant and careful about this because this is really serious.
Bianca, absolutely. Thank you so much for your time this afternoon. Really do appreciate it. Bianca van Aswegen there. She's the criminologist and national coordinator at Missing Children South Africa, saying that we have to be extra vigilant heading to the festive season and protect our children.